Damn, Fire Force this week. Almost snapping a guy's neck as the end of an episode. Now, I'm sure the man's gonna get back up, but it almost feels like, how could a character like this, after what he's done, attempting to do, how is he going to make it out alive? And I hope he doesn't, but I mean, I guess time will tell, but to almost see Tamaki get killed by the one that she was worshipping and loving, and you can have your opinions on her, I do myself, with how she's literally designed to have fan service attracted to her. However, when you see her beaten and bruised like this, you want that to stop, and then you just see a meteor come crashing down that just so happens to be Shinra, as he literally lands a flaming foot on his head as his neck almost snaps and gets impaled to the ground. That has to be the best hero landing I've ever seen, probably period, in anime, and that says something. I mean, that was, wasn't expecting that. Definitely wasn't expecting that. I mean, the whole children burning, I was like, yeah, I could see something like that happening in Fire Force, but just not expecting him to get there in time, and if he did, I didn't think it would be that brutal, but Fire Force, it's definitely pulling some punches now, and I'm excited for more. The idea that basically we've already had some answers on who is behind creating basically Infernals, or at least some of the Infernals, and then also how they're being made, was a surprise. I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than just this one guy acting alone. I'm sure Burnsy is probably also involved, old Captain Burns. He's probably wanting this as well, or someone similar to him. But the idea of trying to find a host that basically, if you give them this insect, they'll either turn into an Inferno or their body will be quote-unquote compatible. Whether that be, are they trying to make fire soldiers? Are they trying to make someone who could bounce between infernal and human? Like, what are they trying to create? We know they're trying to create something, but to see how they're doing it, and then just how probably 99.9% are going to die from it, and there's just no compassion. Wow. I thought the idea that when basically the Infernals are being spotted, I was like, okay, this is where the entire organization is going to be exposed as corrupt, and Tamaki's going to be transforming some, and then they're going to pass it off as they did something, and then no, seemingly just right now only one is, and then the whole idea of not only just my own organization, but one of my closest friends. And that's just, like, that's the writing I love, where they lead you on to expect that, okay, this entire organization, or these characters, guaranteed going to be bad guys, and then they pull a very small but noticeable curveball to say, actually, this guy isn't as bad as we might have thought at first glance, because when you see someone get turned into an Infernal, and then you catch two people in the alleyway a minute later, of course you're going to think both are going to be involved in this. But the idea of actually conflicting friends, and the idea of just the pain that must cause him. For someone like Shinra, it's rage, it's pure determination to stop this, so what happened to him will never happen to others. But then you have a friend who has to potentially put down his own best friend, or one of his closest friends. And that's what's super interesting about Fire Force right now, is it still has everything that the early stages of the show had. The firefighting, the Fire Force fighting, I guess is what you could call it. The Infernals, the power system, the comedy, the fan service, that's all still there. But seeing the stakes at such an all-time high, as literally just children and a mother are basically cowering for their lives, thinking that they were being led to salvation, that all these burnings to children won't happen to them because of this kind-hearted man who just turns out to be completely more demonic and twisted than any Infernal they'll probably ever face, or at least face for quite some time. This episode was brutal, and it wasn't even just like the kick to the head that was brutal, it was just the overall tone, the atmosphere, and the dialogue overall. This guy, he's something else. This guy, the twisted nature to his voice acting has to be complimented and praised. He honestly sounded as if he was so delusional, as if he truly thought what he was doing was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, and if he had to break the bones of people that he thought were going to follow him in his shadow, not disagree with him, he'll break their spine, snap their neck, and he almost looks emotionless, but he's smiling as he appears emotionless and sounds happy. It's almost like a Joker, honestly. It's like pulling Joker from Batman in a different skin, almost. Just the overall pain and torment and twistedness throughout the back half of this episode, and just seeing what was going on, you were just left on the edge of your seat saying, why and how do you stop this? Because even if this guy dies, even if you get answers out of him, there's got to be more than just him at play. We've already seen hints of characters in the background in the earliest stages doing something similar to this? What's the purpose, and is there multiple people doing similar things for different reasons? Honestly, the idea of where the plot can go for Fire Force is actually pretty interesting because they have numerous webs that they could follow, just strands and plot points that they could go down, and it would be so interesting, whether it be the corruption within their own organization, outside forces, and just the idea of certain people acting on their own, and potentially even Shinra having to go against the higher-ups within this organization to get what he wants and expose corruption. There's actually so much going on here. Like, of course, Shinra's building his harem here. I mean, I think we got another addition after the save here. But if you actually look at what Shinra's doing past the more shallow elements to just like the harems and things like that, he's actually pretty well developed right now. The idea of what's happened in his past, the smile is actually a tormented curse for him because anytime he's fearful, he smiles. And then just seeing his idea of wanting to be this like cliche hero, always being able to save people, but in the world that he's a part of, not only are there just these anomalies they can't explain, the entire organization that he's fighting for seemingly is corrupt. How can you be that just hero when your own party is basically apparently creating infernals? How do you stop that? You basically have to become an anti-hero, it seems like. But it's interesting to see how Shinra's character and just the story overall, they have all these numerous paths that they can go down. And honestly, I'm just like left at the end of an episode, whatever they give me, I'm excited for. And then the episode will kick off in the following week and I'll be like, okay, I got a pretty good idea of where they want to go, but by the end of the episode, it's not what I'm expecting whatsoever, especially with the early stages of this episode. I'm like, okay, we got two main bad guys. It's going to link up to probably Captain Burns. I know where this is going. And then, oh, friend dynamic, conflict of interest here. That's exciting and wasn't expecting. That's what I really like about this show right now, is that it has so much that shonen is known for, but it also is doing something pretty brutal and different that you don't see too often, especially for a more modern manga, like I would expect for maybe some older series, but not something that's currently airing and basically being released weekly or monthly, however the chapters are being released for the source material, and that's pretty exciting. I feel like the climate for like battle shonens is really changing and shifting up quite a bit with newer series, and that's actually really exciting because now we're getting series that can do things that are both familiar but also completely different, and as seen with this forced transformation of infernals and just the actual brutality to what was seen in this episode with children crying. And I was actually surprised by how little was actually changed with the burning sequences. Granted, the one kid, he didn't actually transform and burn alive. He just, he basically accepted it. He pretty much took it like a champ, but still, the way he was basically crying and being tortured, it was actually pretty hard to watch. And I'm a person who doesn't like kids, but I'm like, that is horrible, but Fire Force is doing something right when it can get that level of pain for a anime drawing, and you're like, please stop this is too much. But Tamaki and just the brutality, like, I thought her spine got snapped when that hug was going on, and then just the pain afterwards. That has to be some of the worst beatings a character has taken in Fire Force probably ever at this point in time. I mean, that was painful. And this isn't even a character I'd write home about as being like, oh, I'm excited when Tamaki's on screen, but I'm like, god damn, save this girl, do something. This is too damn much. And just the way the silence would creep up when you're seeing these twisted scenes to then the actual music and voice acting, it just feels like the production for the past couple of episodes has really been on point. And if this is a good indicator of what the future of Fire Force is going to look like, both having that fun charm, the comedy charm, the action charm, but the dark charm, like if it can go darker like what's seen here, this series could really, really become something quite special by the end of its first season, which is thankfully a 2-core. And I'm excited to see, because just the way not only did they showcase brutal combat with just such a quick and you couldn't even predict move. Just the overall torture of watching innocent mothers and children being tortured and burned alive. There's something so twisted, and the idea of just the pain in their voices and just faces from the tears, it really felt completely demonic. And I think that's why this episode was so gripping, is because this is supposed to be a series where people are afraid, not only just burning alive, but becoming demons, and just that pain and how they're detailing it. It doesn't feel censored, it doesn't feel like trampled upon, it feels like it's supposed to make you uncomfortable, and that's the brilliance of this episode in particular. And I just think at this point in time, for the next few episodes, we could see the series getting progressively better and better, and finding this formula that is both dark but happy in this weird mix that not a lot of anime can get right. But if you can blend that comedic but super serious and disturbing elements well, you can have a series that's quite memorable, and I think Fire Force is going to be one of those for sure. I really thought, honestly, within the first few episodes of Fire Force, that this would be the show that I looked forward to every week because I was having fun, but I wasn't going to put too much thought into the overall story. Like, I like Shinra, I like the idea of the story, but I didn't think we were going to get something like this, something such as episode 8. Quite interested for people who read the source material in particular. What was this chapter or chapters like in the manga, and in terms of the anime adaptation, did it capture or even go past your expectations of what you were originally read? And also for anime originals, were you just as shocked and in awe as I was? Let me know down in that comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video though, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you have been new. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.